Hello, hello, and welcome to my thought on this crazy Monday. My God, it was just one of those days where everything went wrong. But I wanted to just share a story with you because we're talking about what people do when they've been cooped up for a long time and they can't think of anything to do to give them excitement. And this story is from years and years ago. It's a story, I believe it was in the 70s or it was before the 70s. It was oh my God, it was in the late 50s. Um, that I lived in Toledo, Ohio, is a Catholic city. It's very Catholic, and there was a lovely, lovely Catholic school for little girls called not little girls, but high school. That's 14 to 18, called Mary Mance, and it was a very proper school. All the little girls wore little white collars and loose dresses and very proper. And this young red-headed guy was telling me how he decided he had nothing better to do, um, and that he liked to streak. So at that time, this was the early 50s, and I said to him, "Well, what's streaking?" He said, "Well, streaking is where you run through someplace really fast without any clothes on." I said, "You like doing that?" He said, "Yes, it makes me feel really good." He said, "But my best adventure was when I went streaking at Marymount's High School." And I said, "You didn't?" He said, "Yeah, I did. And this is what happened." And this is the story he tells me. He said, "I crept into the basement of the high school because it was an all girls high school." And he said, I snuck into the basement of the high school as the mother superior was giving announcements for the last period of the day. And she was saying, "All young ladies gather together your notebooks and your pencils. We're going to have a very special program of at the end of the day, and we want you to get all your materials together because then you'll be leaving the school immediately after." And as they said this, the young man took off all his clothes and started streaking through the halls. And as he passed the main office and the Mother Superior saw him, she said, "Now, all young girls, please put your heads down on the table, and we will let you know when you can look up again." And the moral of this story is that I have been thinking a lot about naturists, which in England, those are nudists. And in where I lived in California, we had Baker Beach, where people were able to go naked. And a friend of mine is a naturist, and he always says, "But I never do anything like go out in public without any clothes on because I don't want to offend my neighbors." And my question to you and to everybody that's watching this is, what's so offensive about being naked? Um, and I am the kind of person that dresses behind closed doors even when I'm alone. So I know uh, the, 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 the limitations that excessive modesty gives you in your activities. But I've thought about this a lot, and I've thought, wouldn't it be a better world if we weren't all so private about our bodies? And if a young boy, and this was a little redhead with freckles, he was adorable, wants to run naked in the street, who's he hurting? I would much rather that we concentrated on other things that we consider that we really don't we really don't pursue as vociferously as I think, like domestic violence, like like prejudice against women, like like racism, and not really worry about whether people are naked or whether they're clothed because they know if they're comfortable. And there was another story that I'm going to include with this. There was a play um, put on in Edinburgh called Asking for It. Asking for It. And in that play, the woman presented the play naked from the waist down. And as I've just told you, I see absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I was on a panel discussion that John Fleming, who was very well known for his panel discussions and for his blog called So It Goes. John Fleming was running it. And the question was, in discussing this play, Asking for It, because she had no clothes on from the waist down, was she asking for it? And my favorite, favorite remark of that, which caused quite a brouhaha with the dedicated Women's Freedom, Women's Liberation, Do Not Make Judgment group. A terrible amount of anger was my friend Kate Copstick, who said, well, if you go into a butcher shop and you see a piece of meat on the counter, you're certainly entitled to grab it. And everybody got very, very angry. And I had said, my remark to that is something that I still hold to, which is whenever we leave our homes, we are presenting an image of ourselves to others, people we don't know. And there'll always be someone who comes to the wrong conclusion. And the most important thing is to be prepared to deal with that. But I am going to go one step further, and I am going to say that if it makes you happy to run around in the all together and catch your death a cold, perfectly all right with me. However, at my age, I am desperately grateful for clothes, desperately grateful for what they don't show. And thank you so much for joining me for my thought on this auspicious Monday.